The internet is full of self-help productivity advice. If you look into how to organize your life, so many options pop up. However, so many of them are not useful or realistic for moms at home. Hi, I'm Misty Winkler, a homeschooling mom of 5 and author of the book, How to Use a Planner Without Wasting Time. I want to help moms banish overwhelm and perfectionism so they can manage life cheerfully and well. Want to hang out? Hit subscribe and check out my other podcasts, Simplified Organization and Simply Convivial. As moms, we plan a lot, but are we doing realistic planning? Or are our plans a waste of time? We have too much to do to waste our time with plans that never come about, that we don't follow or maybe even look at. So today I'm going to talk about 5 habits that we need to make our planning realistic instead of wishful thinking. Planning is still a helpful practice, but the kind of planning we do matters a lot because we do not want to waste our time. So let's dig in. So we've all been there, looking up the experts for their tips, finding the successful people sharing their secrets, reading article after article that offers some new trick or tip to overcome procrastination, fatigue, maybe even listlessness, definitely overwhelm. Sometimes after trying and failing so many times, we are tempted to write off all productivity advice or planning help as hocus pocus or shallow marketing. And a lot of it is. But then the day-to-day happens to us. We fly by the seat of our pants. We start taking every day as it comes until so many days have come and gone that we can't even keep count. We don't know where we are or what we're doing. We're just surviving. Now, maybe productivity is not the secret sauce that we need. At least a lot of the productivity definitions that come from the business world is for worker bees who need to churn out more widgets. Productivity is usually about efficiency, and babies, toddlers, and even teens are never efficient. Efficiency tactics do not translate into parenting very well at all. But that doesn't mean that we throw off all planning advice and just be blown about by each day's whims and emergencies. Efficiency is not what we need, but effectiveness is. Effectiveness keeps priorities in mind. Effectiveness puts people first because people matter more. Effectiveness is intentional, purposeful, and active. When we neglect planning, we end up directionless and reactive, responding to needs, but never really leading the way. We put out fires, and that's all that we can manage. If we take a step back, we can certainly manage more. So here are 5 realistic planning habits that will cultivate intentional, purposeful action. First, create focused plans. Trying to focus on big picture goals that are too far out in the future is too much guesswork for moms with growing families and changing needs. We can think about our long-term direction, but God often has a different idea that unfolds in unexpected ways. We can't try to extend control too far out into the future, but we also can't sit back and simply react to whatever happens without taking measured, considered, wise, self-controlled steps in the way that we should go. When we plan with the end in mind, we're not necessarily trying to control the future. Instead, we're thinking about how the actions we take now will bear fruit in the future. And that means we know what fruit we want to bear in the future. With short-term planning, we can be more realistic. We can give ourselves the motivation of a looming deadline, like the end of the month or the end of the week. and have the commitment to work out a plan for an amount of time we can actually wrap our head around. Habit number 2, find regular time to clear your mental clutter. We all understand that decluttering our homes is a step that we have to take to manage our space and our stuff wisely. But our heads also accumulate clutter. Things we don't need to keep in our head. We need them written down out of our heads so that we can then think about them. So the way that we declutter our heads is a brain dump. Whenever you start to feel crazy inside, grab a piece of paper and a pencil and do a brain dump. Write down everything that's swirling inside your head and look at it objectively on paper rather than letting it all just peck at your mind at random times. When we have regular times set aside for clearing our mental clutter and reviewing upcoming needs, we'll find more calm as we try to handle it all. We'll be able to deal with life proactively rather than reactively. I've got a lot of material out there about brain dumping. Some will be linked at the end, and in the show notes below, you can find a link to my free brain dump guide. Habit number 3, pursue a creative outlet. Life is not about go, go, go all the time. Our aim should not be to try to figure out how to keep in high gear all the time. Humans are for more than just getting things done. We're for pursuing what is true and good and beautiful. We will feel most satisfied and connected when we invest in relationships and in creativity, because these are things that we find within God Himself. When we pursue relationship and creativity, we are imaging God as we were created to be and do. Realistic planning includes rest and refreshment. 4, we should take a technology Sabbath. Take a technology Sabbath weekly and unconnected vacations. Having laptops, tablets, and phones always on, always around, always pinging changes the way that we interact with the world and even with our own thoughts. We don't need to forsake technology entirely, but we do need to be in charge of it rather than letting it be in charge of us. We can take charge by turning it off at regularly scheduled intervals. Look at your patterns and choose some technology-free zones in your days, in your weeks, in your year. Take a walk without your phone maybe, or turn it off and leave it in your purse when you go to visit a friend. Try taking Sunday as a day of rest from digital accessories. We need regularly scheduled times to think clearly and linearly, to relate spatially and tangibly, to observe naturally and closely. Realistic planning takes our physical and emotional needs into account. Finally, number 5, know your personality, your social role, your strengths, and work with those. It's easy as women to fall into the comparison trap. We look at what other people seem to be doing or how they seem to be living, and we think we fall short. Envy, comparison, guilt, these are not good motivators. They are not healthy. We need to keep our eyes on our own business and our own path. What should we be doing given our circumstances and our responsibilities? What are we good at? How does our personality inform our choices, our style, our roles? When we know and understand our responsibilities, our vocations, we begin understanding others better as well. Differences can be complementary instead of a competition when we see that none of us are complete in ourselves, but only partial pictures of what's possible and what's important. What are we called to? That's our vocation, the roles and responsibilities we have been clearly given. Accepting our limits and not judging others by ourselves or ourselves by others brings peace and freedom. It's another way to pursue realistic planning. So why do we pursue effective, realistic planning? We do it for God's kingdom, not for establishing our own. That means that we're working intentionally in order to turn a profit on what we've been given, in order to live gratefully for all God has done for us, and obediently walking in the path He's called us to. We're offering ourselves up as a living, whole sacrifice. We focus on building up God's people. We're living a life of service, not of selfish glory seeking. Do you need help learning how to plan realistically with God-honoring priorities? Do you want community support and insightful coaching as you put these habits into practice in your own particular situation? Do you want to join a group of ladies that gets this? Then you belong inside Simply Convivial Continuing Education, where we will help you set up a realistic plan and then actually use it to live a life of service, strategically and intentionally. You'll learn to beat overwhelm and perfectionism and make meaningful, realistic progress on your own life, not by following someone else's cookie cutter plan, but by working through what you are actually called to and doing the right next thing. To join Simply Convivial Continuing Education, just go to simplyconvivial.com and click the green Enroll button, or find the link in the show notes below. We'd love to have you in our group of ladies that is always applying our motto: repent, rejoice, repeat.